Boots are looking to use their loyalty card data to drive medical breakthroughs. Sam's Club bring contextual retail media ads to customers as they scan their shopping. John Lewis surge ahead with their plans to transform and create a residential property development and management arm, and eBay and Walmart both turn to live streaming, but with very different approaches. All this and tons more in this episode of The Retail Show. Well, hello there and welcome to The Retail Show, your weekly dose of useful news and relevant views. I'm your host, Oliver Banks. I'm a retail consultant, advisor, keynote speaker, and author of Driving Retail Transformation, How to Navigate Disruption and Change. Thanks for tuning into this episode. And as the Olympics gets off to a flying start, I've got a full marathon of retail headlines to get through. So without further ado, let's jump in to news you can use. Boots will use their loyalty scheme's Advantage Card data to help predict and develop new disease treatments. The data would look to identify customers who could take part in clinical trials and help to develop innovative diagnosis and treatments. For example, heartburn is a potential symptom for esophageal cancer. So if a customer has been regularly buying particular products to combat heartburn, then this could present an opportunity for the customer to opt in to trials or perhaps further diagnosis. And this news story follows a similar experiment that Boots were involved in last year, and it's a great example of the power of retail's big data and how it could have meaningful impact on the world. However, it's also clear to see the numerous privacy concerns that customers and consumers could have. So as a point to consider, what would be the art of the possible about your data? What could your business data tell the world about the future? And how could it have a meaningful impact? In the US, the grocer Schnucks Markets are integrating a feature on their electronic shelf-edge label solution to allow Instacart pickers to activate a pick-by-light solution and increase picking productivity. Schnucks Markets operate 115 stores, and they're also trialling smart shopping trolleys from Caper Carts, which incidentally is also owned by Instacart. And they're looking to integrate this pick-by-light feature into the Caper Carts too, which would allow customers to search for an item from the smart shopping cart and be alerted to the precise location by a light on the shelf edge label. Combining technologies and getting them to talk to each other is often hard work, but with modern systems and integration options, there are more opportunities than we've ever had. So consider this. What two technologies would be at the top of your connection or integration list? And what would it enable if you could combine these two technologies? And what's standing in the way? Also in US grocery, Sam's Club brings retail media to scan and go functionality. So product ads are customized, tailored, and displayed to customers based on their recent scans. For example, when a customer scans a bag of spinach, the app displays an ad for salad dressing. Now, this is about as close as we can get to bringing the e-commerce concept of customers who bought this also bought that. However, interestingly, in this particular instance, this is being done in a way to drive retail media sales rather than total sales. And for me, whilst this particular example of a bag of spinach and a salad dressing feels highly relevant to the customer, I think it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out in the real world and to see if it remains highly relevant or if particular brands are just willing to promote their relatively unrelated products to customers that may or may not be from a similar demographic that they're trying to target. So looking at a customer demographic that buys spinach, for example, and saying, oh, would you like to buy this wine? And it's not relevant, right? But yes, there may be a data correlation there. Now, if you are pursuing retail media opportunities, how are you maintaining customer focus when suddenly you have two customers to focus on? You have the consumer who is paying for the product and the brand who is paying for the ad and the exposure. How do you balance those two customers? And what does customer-centric mean when you have multiple, potentially contradictory customers? Nike have hired a new CIO who will be focused on simplifying, standardising and modernising Nike's platform, suggesting a period of consolidation rather than innovation. Nike have been one of the pioneers exploring the new digital commerce landscape. However, this new focus suggests to me that they're now looking to almost regroup and to focus on efficiencies and robustness and profitability. Now, don't get me wrong, it can be a very sensible approach to recognise that you don't always need to maintain the same path. You don't always need to follow the same approach. And you may need to adapt through different phases over time. However, if you give up on a particular innovative streak, it can alter the company culture, and then it can be immensely hard to recreate or reinvigorate that. So as a point to reflect on, are there any aspects of your strategy or your approach, or maybe your non-negotiables, perhaps as an individual, as a team, or as a company, that you think you could shift or you could alter, either on a permanent or temporary basis? And how could that switch things up? What could it enable? What could it unlock? The John Lewis Partnership has been given planning permission to transform one of their London Waitrose supermarkets into 353 homes and a refurbished store. The homes will be rented out and managed by John Lewis as they look to expand into house building and residential management. This has been a long-term transformation for the company. It was announced several years ago, and it's great to see progress happening as they look to diversify where future profits are generated. Last year, Bain released analysis that forecast that by the year 2035, 50% of retailers' profits will come from non-traditional retail opportunities. And this is a great example of that. So what are you doing to consider how and where your future profits will come from? These bold transformations take time to come to fruition, and it's therefore important to start sooner rather than later. Sticking with John Lewis, and the department store side of the business launched a range of pre-loved designer bags. For years now, John Lewis have featured second-hand jewellery, so it's great to see this now expanding into other categories. To enable this designer bag proposition, they are working with Sign of the Times and will feature a shop-in-shop in one of their London stores on a permanent basis. And this physical retail presence offers customers the chance to bring in their designer handbags to be assessed, to be authenticated, and then to be resold. And this expanded view on resale follows the recent news that they're also experimenting with repairs, again powered through partnerships. And if you'd like to know more about that, check out the last episode of The Retail Show. Now, in retail right now, there are loads of pre-loved opportunities, and insight suggests that younger generations are increasingly familiar with this trend. So are you looking at the second-hand market? And are partnerships the opportunity to offer this proposition quickly? Or would you prefer to develop the capability in-house to support future growth and future profitability. eBay and Love Island have decided to take their relationship to the next level, with a live stream hosted by a TikTok influencer and one of their former contestants. This live shopping event had a particular focus on pre-loved items which had been featured in the TV show Wardrobe. All funds were donated to the charity Doctors Without Borders. However, the very limited edition items, very exclusive items because they have been featured in the TV show, we're talking the exact item by the way, complete with food stains, they were sold to the customers with the fastest fingers for a set discount price, cheaper than the regular retail price of a new equivalent item. And with over 10,000 people tuning into the live stream and just 28 items on sale, it was disappointing to me that they've missed the classic eBay auction functionality and opportunity. And with these reduced prices, it seems they've only raised £605 for charity. To me, that feels like a missed opportunity to really deliver value to Doctors Without Borders, a crucial charity, especially in these tough times around the world. So if you are thinking about charity events, how are you going to challenge your approach to really maximize the amount raised? Another company looking to live streaming this week is Walmart, who collaborated with P&G to put on an Olympic special live shopping event. Featuring past gold medal winning gymnast Laurie Hernandez, this event was very much focused on a content-led approach, discussing aspects like morning routines, everyday victories, and managing stress, with the shopping element present but less in your face. This live stream pulled in 29,000 viewers, and I'm not aware of the sales figures. And if you'd like a point to reflect on, then be sure to subscribe to this podcast and tune in next week, where I'm going to be doing much more analysis on this and putting the eBay and the Walmart live shopping experiences head to head. In the UK, the perfume shop have partnered with Deliveroo to offer 25-minute delivery of branded perfumes. Now, to me, this feels like an obscure use of quick commerce. Just how quickly is perfume and fragrance really needed by customers? But on the other hand, it's also about offering choice and could present a nice last-minute gift, especially as we come up to peak season. And if the effort required to patch into another platform isn't huge, then why not do it? Why not offer that choice, that convenience? However, if it does add a layer of complexity by segregating or duplicating stock or adding additional processes, all which have a potentially low utilization rate, then it's likely to be a drag on the organization. So you need to be careful with quick commerce or any initiative to make sure that it's really valuable. So how do you assess if there is a viable market before you take action, especially if you're taking up the innovator role in the market rather than being, let's say, a fast follower? How do you test the water before you jump fully into test and learn? In Australia, Aldi have pulled out of their trial to offer online shopping to customers. They've struggled to keep costs low and recognise the balance of profitability, and in particular, recognising that they can't increase prices, otherwise that's going to ruin their demand. Their buying managing director, Jordan Lack, said, "The greater concern is the impact on cost structure, as fundamentally keeping our costs low has a direct impact on the prices we can offer our customers." So Aldi recognised clearly that one of the challenges with online grocery shopping, and online shopping in particular, are increased picking costs. And they are recognising that it's so vital to their operating model and to their business model, and therefore their customer proposition, that they are making the tough decision that arguably goes against the broader trends in the market. So what areas do you need to consider about your customer proposition, your operating model, and your business model to suggest that maybe a broader market trend is not a suitable fit for your business and for your customers? And our last news story in today's News You Can Use, Coach are moving into the Metaverse and aim to appeal to Gen Z customers. Digital clothing from their new collection will feature on both Roblox and Zepeto. The venture is based around a common theme of find your courage, and in turn it encourages the player through different levels, taking part in games, picking up freebies and buying digital products. It's a limited time opportunity, so it's equivalent to a Metaverse pop-up. However, at the moment this seems to be a digital-only solution. There doesn't seem to be any activation of real-life physical product. And we're already starting to see companies going through to this next stage of omniverse, shall we call it, where customers can buy real products in a digital world, or vice versa. However, that's not to take anything away from Coach, because learning about future retail opportunities is truly valuable. In a way, I see it as akin to starting selling online many moons ago, before e-commerce was a big thing. And tentative experiments can help you to learn more and connect with customers. So, is it time that you revisited the Metaverse? Phew! What a marathon of news stories in this week's News You Can Use section, eh? But we've still got a few more laps in before the end of the episode. And in particular, this week, we're diving back into the Insight Spotlight, where we're going to be diving into some recent insight to understand how it's shaping and evolving our world of retail. Morning Consult and Walmart have recently co-authored and collaborated on a new piece of research and insight entitled The State of Adaptive Retail. Now, I have to be honest, I was very unsure of the terminology around adaptive retail to begin with, but I can begin to see where they're going. To set the scene, I'll quote Walmart. The retail landscape has undergone dramatic changes over the past decade, and we're now stepping into a new era of retail, adaptive retail. Simply put, adaptive retail is an evolved form of retail that brings shopping to the customer in exactly the way that they want and need. It goes beyond blending the best of online and offline to adapting experiences based on an understanding of the deeper context behind the purchase, all to meet unique consumer habits and preferences. Now that is a particularly lengthy, simply put phrase. I hope you'll agree. But essentially what we're saying is it's the next evolution of omnichannel happening right in front of us, where we're bringing in personalization and we're adapting the operating model and the propositions to particular customer habits, particular customer behaviors, and even individual, very specific preferences at a very moment in time. So I'm going to put a link to this particular insight report on the show notes, but I wanted to share with you 3 insights that caught my eye in particular. Firstly, 38% of shoppers would always want a virtual personal shopper available to them. Now this is a really big number to, and I quote, always want a virtual personal shopper. But that number gets even bigger. It jumps up to 50% of shoppers would always want a virtual personal shopper if you segment the population to just Gen Z and parents as 2 different segments. There is a huge opportunity here to help people with their shopping, to make the process of shopping easier, helping to discover products, helping to find favourite products, helping to shop and highlight the best deals. These are big opportunities, so think about how you can bring more convenience to your customers in terms of the process of shopping? How can you make it so easy for consumers as they go about browsing, adding to cart, etc., etc.? And by the way, it shouldn't just be about e-commerce here. This should be about blending online and offline. Our second insight that I wanted to dive into is that consumers now do shopping everywhere. Inherently, we know this already. But what was quite interesting is there's a chart in there about over the last 6 months, where have people made online purchases? Watching TV, 56%. During a meal at home, 24%. During work, 18%. At the gym, 6%. Bit of e-commerce whilst doing the treadmill, maybe? And this one staggered me the most. During class, 4%. But given the spread of respondents and the fact that the large percentage of those respondents will not have attended any classes in the last 6 months, then I think this number could spike out at maybe 4 times, 5 times, or even more. So perhaps appealing to customers during class represents a significant, albeit slightly unethical, opportunity. I'll let you decide what to do with that one. And our third and final insight that I wanted to highlight was around in-store and online comparisons. Thinking about the features that online customers want from a physical shopping experience and vice versa. So 48% of online customers want the ability to immediately get the item, which highlights a potential opportunity for quick commerce. So maybe that story from the perfume shop earlier wasn't so radical. Meanwhile, 45% of in-store customers want the ability to check out without queuing. So there's more detail in the main report, so do go and check it out. You'll find it in the show notes, or head on over to theretailshow.uk. And just to close out this section, I wanted to quote Suresh Kumar, the Global Chief Technology Officer and Chief Development Officer at Walmart. And he says, retailers must predict shoppers' needs, reduce decision-making, and enable highly personal experiences. Future retail success depends on how well we anticipate and meet these evolving expectations. And if we're thinking about adaptive retail, that is the golden nugget. How well can we anticipate and meet the evolving expectations? How well can we adapt? And finally, alongside the traditional return to school trade opportunities, Walmart are also leaning into the Metaverse to help encourage students get back into their studies. Walmart are no stranger to the Metaverse, but right now they're launching 5 virtual dorms, which are curated by influencers and based on social trends and analysis. The 5 dorms are Sanrio, a fantastical cotton candy and rainbow escape, the Serene Retreat, a cozy and comfortable soft living oasis, Royal, a smart and eclectic world with a preppy regal twist, Y2K, a throwback to trends and products from the early 2000s, and Lo-Fi, a gamer's paradise inspired by neon lights and arcades. Now this is really interesting. It helps put a new spin on discovery, and it bridges the gap between that moment of inspiration and the point of purchase. And it blends in social influencers to help with that gap. And after initially hearing this, I have to be honest, I was wondering how many students are really looking for their Y2K fix. But then I realised that I was getting old, because Y2K is the new retro. So I don't know whether that puts a smile on your face or a frown, perhaps. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're new to the show, please do hit subscribe and join me back for new episodes every single week, where I'll continue to serve you useful news with relevant views. Thanks for listening to The Retail Show, and I'll join you next time. Bye!